I can't tell you how many times I've been asked to do this, and there's so many different scenarios where this can pop up. So I'm going to show you how to compare two lists to find out which data is missing from the second list that was present in the first list. If we look at our data in list 1, we have a list of 60 actresses and actors, and in list 2, we only have 49. So it looks like we're missing 11 people, but just by looking at the list, it's hard to figure out who. It's actually super easy to compare the two lists and extract all the missing people in just a few seconds. So let me show you how. We're going to go to cell C2 and type equals filter, open parentheses, then we'll select all the data in list 1, in this case it's A2 to A61, comma, not, open parentheses, CountIF, open parentheses, then you'll select all the data in list 2, comma, all the data in list 1. And then you'll put 3 close parentheses to close everything out. Now, once you press enter, you'll have a list of everybody that's missing in the second list that was present in the first list. Now, if we want to do this in the opposite way, so we want to see which values are missing in list 1 that are present in list 2, even though it's smaller, we do the exact opposite. So this time the formula would be equals filter. We'll select all of list 2, put not, CountIF, then we'll select all of list 1, and then all of list 2 again. This will give me everything that's present in the second list that's missing in the first list. Now, if I want to have a single list of all results that are missing in either list, it's super simple to do. I'll just copy that first formula, and then I'll go back to this second formula. In between equals and filter, I'll put Vstack, open parentheses, and then after that formula, I'll put comma and paste that formula I just copied. So what I did there is I just simply stacked the two formulas together to get one list of everybody that's missing. I got asked several times if this would work for more than 2 lists, so let me show you how to do it. So beforehand, we're going to set up the original, so we'll have filter, select all of list 1, comma, not, CountIF, select all of list 2, comma, all of list 1. And if you're wondering why I'm configuring the formula in the way that I am, I have a deep dive explaining this, and I have the video linked in the caption. Once we press enter, we have a neat little list of everything that's missing from the second list that's present in the first list. Now, if we want to include list 3 as well, all we have to do is go back into that formula, and in front of the list 2, we'll put Vstack, open parentheses, then after list 2, we'll put comma, and the range for list 3, then close parentheses. And you can see that we have a few less missing results than we did with just list 2, and that's because list 3 contains some of the missing items that were not present in list 2. And if you're unfamiliar with Vstack, pretend that you copied all of list 3 and you pasted it right underneath list 2. That's what Vstack is reading the list as. So in reality, we're still only comparing 2 lists, but we turn list 2 and list 3 into one long list, and then we're comparing that list with list 1 to find the missing values. And a few of you have asked, what if the 2 lists are in different spreadsheets altogether? So let me show you how to do it. You just saw the first list in a spreadsheet by itself. In an entirely different spreadsheet, we have our second list. The first thing we need to do is compile both lists into one spreadsheet. So we'll hit the plus in the bottom left-hand corner to open up a new tab. In cell A1, we'll type equals ImportRange. Then we'll put a quote, and then we'll copy and paste the URL from the other spreadsheet. We'll put another quote, put a comma. Then after a quote, we'll need the range string. And this identifies what tab you want to import as well as the range. So we have list 1, so we'll put list 1 exclamation point, A1 to C71. And if you want to make it dynamic, you don't have to put C71, you could just put C so it goes down all the way to the end of the column. When you first press enter, it will show an error message and will ask you for permissions to allow you to use the other spreadsheet. But once you press allow, it'll show these fields. So now we have list 1 and list 2 in different tabs, but they are in the same spreadsheet. And now we can do the same thing as the last video to find the missing values. So we'll type equals filter, and then we'll select the entire range of the first list, comma, not CountIF. Then we'll select the range for the second list, comma, the range for the first list. And if you're wondering why the formula is configured the way it is, check out the video that's linked in my caption for a full explanation. And once you press enter, you'll have the list of missing values. And if you want to include the name in the revenue columns, you can just expand the range that's being filtered. So now, just like last time, we have the list of missing values, but what if we want to add the name and the revenue that are correlated with each ID? And it's probably easier than you would think. So right after filter, we have that first range that we're filtering. Instead of it being 1 column long, we're going to make it multiple columns long. So instead of it being just B, we made it B and C. So now we have the revenue automatically populating. And that's because if we go back to our original list, column B is ID and column C is revenue. As you can see on this table, our name column is to the left of our current formula. So we'll need to anchor in all of the ranges and then copy the formula into the top left corner of the table, and then we can delete the current formula. And then the last step to include the name column as well is to change B2 to A2. And once we press enter, we'll have the name, the ID, and the revenue for all values that were missing from list 2 that were present in list 1. I don't want to be a channel that just shows you how to do a formula but doesn't show you how to actually use it in real life. So here's a real life example of how to use it. So in this example, somebody's leaving the company, and it's your job to reassign their sales pipeline to 3 people. If the account has a revenue over 100 million, it will go to 1 person, and the remaining accounts will be split randomly between 2 people. So to filter the accounts that meet the $100 million threshold, we'll type equals filter, select the entire ID, and then put comma, select all the revenues, and put greater than 100 million. So now we have a list of accounts that were greater than 100 million. And if you want to double check that you did it correctly, you can change the range that you're filtering to include B and C, and that will include the revenues. You can confirm that everything is over 100 million. But we don't really need that, so I'm going to change it back. All right, so now we need to find the list of remaining accounts that don't fall into that 100 million threshold. And to do this, we're going to use the same formula from my past videos where we're comparing 2 lists to find the missing values. So I'll type equals filter, then select all of the reassign IDs, comma, not CountIF, select all of the over 100 IDs, and then select all of the reassign IDs again. Now I have all the IDs that are left that are less than 100 million. The next thing we need to do is randomly assign these between 2 people. So I use the RandBetween formula and put 1 as the lower threshold and 2 as the higher threshold. And this will assign all of the IDs at 1 or a 2. But every time I make a change, it will update whether it's a 1 or a 2. So I'm going to go ahead and paste the values instead of having a formula. So now it's time to assign the IDs to each person. So I'll go to the first person and type equals filter, and I'll select the range of IDs. And then I'll put a comma, and I'll select the range of either 1s or 2s, and I'll put equals 1. So now I have a list of all of the IDs that have a 1 right next to it. Instead of typing this formula out again, I'm going to anchor in both the ranges, and then I'll copy and paste it into the next employee. And now I have the formula already set, so I just need to change the 1 to the 2 to get the next results. And you can see when they populate that the second list is a lot bigger than the first list, and that's because the 1s and the 2s were completely randomized. But since everything's dynamic, all you have to do is just change a couple of 2s to 1s, and the list will balance out. So now we have a list of IDs assigned to each employee correlated with the instructions we were given. So now it's time to bring everything into one single list. So I have this table where I have the name, the reassigned name, the assigned to, and the ID. And under assigned to, I'm going to put Vstack, and then I'll select the 3 ranges. So I'll start with the one for Phil, and I'll select assigned to Phil all the way down to the end of the IDs, put a comma, do the same exact thing for Leslie, then I'll put a comma, and I'll do the same exact thing for Stephanie. Then I'll press enter. So now you can see all the IDs for Phil are up top, then it goes to Leslie, then it goes to Stephanie. So before we update our CRM, we need to create the reassigned name. And to do this, we'll first need to find the name correlated with each ID. So I'll use Xlookup and then select the ID. Then I'll go to the reassigned table and I'll select B, A, and it will give me the name that's associated with that ID. And from there, you could drag the formula down if you want to, but instead I'm going to turn it into an array formula and change D2 to D2:D. And now I have all the names associated with each ID. Now for the reassigned name, I just want to have the name of the company and then the word reassigned after. So I'll just put equals A2 and quote space reassigned quote. And if you're wondering why this works, that ampersand acts as a join between the contents of cell A2 and the word reassigned. So now everything is complete and I can do a bulk update in our CRM to update the name and the owner associated with each ID. This whole exercise took less than 3 minutes, and if you like this video, follow Sheets by Olin for more.